What's up, y'all? I'm Abdul Omari, the host of this series, which is looking at how the greater MSP region is transforming. In this particular video, we're gonna be thinking about and looking at how we work. Not only are we thinking about where we work, but we're also thinking about the jobs of the future. So let's get after it. We're gonna go talk to some people. Let's see what they have to say about the future of work. We're gonna kick this off by talking to Quaylin Ellengru, Senior Partner at McKinsey & Company. Quaylin's an expert in what jobs of the future will look like and what skills might be necessary for the future workforce. So Quaylin, thinking about 2020, all the changes that have happened from a professional standpoint, what trends are you seeing in those professions that are growing, some that might be shrinking, and even perhaps going away?
The professions that have been growing a lot, and this is actually pre-COVID as well as accelerated through COVID, have been health professionals, STEM professionals, health aides, as well as creatives and arts management leaders. We've seen on the other side a number of occupations that have been shrinking. So office support, assistance, really, food service, things like production and machine operations, manufacturing areas have been shrinking pretty consistently, and we see those trends accelerated through COVID.
Makes sense. So as we think about the greater MSP region, right, how are we well positioned or otherwise to adapt to the changes that you're talking about?
I think Minnesota overall and the Twin Cities generally has a very highly educated workforce compared to the rest of the country. We also have a high proportion of dual career couples, and I think a stronger connection and partnership between educational organizations and the employers that employ those graduates. So I think a lot of strengths and pros working in our favor in this region. But overall, as we look ahead, I think they will actually exacerbate a lot of the divides that we have seen unless we have a very strong racial equity lens, a very strong gender equity and income equity lens to our recovery.
Well, Quaylin, thank you so much for being with us. We're excited to see the work that you do at McKinsey, and thank you for joining us for this time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Quaylin gave us a glimpse into what the future jobs might look like. Now we're going to think about where and how we might work. We're going to talk to Alex West-Diamond, the CEO and co-founder of the Coven, about those workspaces of the future. So we know in 2020 that co-working spaces were on the rise, but how has that shifted the trend or maintained it, increased it over the past year?
I mean, there's a trend in co-working moving away from just a physical workspace to a place where people can actually build new businesses and connect with one another. So when COVID came, we knew that we had to keep our community together. We launched a digital platform within 24 hours and doubled our membership in just 3 months. So for our business, you saw kind of a trend of like community wanting to connect with one another and just finding new ways to do it, whether that's in person or virtually.
How can we embed, or how have you embedded equity in the co-working spaces? How does that allow for equitable workspaces?
So we provide a 5-for-1 community funded membership. For every 5 paid members, we gift one to someone in the community, prioritizing folks from underestimated communities. We have learning and development really baked into our space so folks can understand what are the legal ramifications of starting a business. What are some ways that you can hire equitably within your own organization? They have that already baked in, and they can continue to evolve with what their communities need.
Absolutely, I love that. So here's the big question, right? So what's gonna happen in the future?
Yeah, that is a great question. I would normally say we can only really predict about 3 months out right now in the middle of a pandemic. But what I'm really seeing is we've seen a lot of corporate partners reach out to us and ask for support in building a community within their organizations that it brings a sense of belonging to their employees. They're looking for learning and development opportunities that we offer here. And so I really think that co-working spaces that are able to adapt and evolve with what's happening in other workplaces will get tapped by those workplaces to help, support their organizations. And so we're actually seeing companies like 3M, companies like Target, or organizations like Greater MSP kind of tap the knowledge and expertise of the entrepreneurs and leaders that we have within our organization and asking us to bring that into their organization and to create a space where they can have equitable opportunities for their employees, for their potential employees and potential customers.
Love it. So let me wrap this by saying what y'all are doing is exactly what it says on your earrings. One of my favorite words, absolutely dope. So I appreciate y'all, and for what y'all are doing, keep being dope.
Thanks so much. Yeah, this was awesome.
Thank you. So we just heard about how co-working spaces are transforming the way we work, how we work. Now we're gonna talk to Jessica McGilko with JLL and think about how traditional workspaces might be shifting and what that might mean for the future. So Jessica, thanks for being with us. We're excited to talk to you about the commercial real estate market broadly, but also in the Minneapolis-Saint Paul region. So what is the commercial real estate market look like right now?
There's such a lack of clarity, especially around the office market, that most companies are not doing anything. So if they can, they're waiting to see how the pandemic evolves, and this is a trend that mirrors some of the national trends as well.
Is there anything that makes us different? Anything that we stand out in, or something that uniquely positions us in this conversation?
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to say it, but because we're badass Northerners, we have a really stable economy that's diverse. So if our economy is diverse and generally stable, our real estate markets are generally diverse and stable. Companies are still committed in a way to their real estate that we're not necessarily seeing on the coasts. And I really see this region winning, or being opportunistically positive, I suppose is one way to say it, by pulling some more of those folks and really understanding how great we are here in the Twin Cities.
So, all right, Jessica, here we go. Okay. So let's pretend that you are the person who's gonna make the prediction for the future of big square footage office buildings. Are we gonna see that big footprint into the future?
Okay, so I think for the first 6 months of 2021, we have business leaders all coming together to have a conversation around what is the purpose of the office. And so I predict that not much will happen in the next 6 months, not outwardly. And then in the next 1 to 2 years, I think that there will be some leading indicator kinds of companies. Some of these tech companies that say, sending everybody all home isn't the answer either. Sending everybody in the office isn't the answer. And I think in the next 1 to 2 years, there's gonna be some really exciting and interesting product coming online from different companies that are really doing deep thinking and work now.
Fascinating. Appreciate you being with us, spending some time.
Thank you so much, this was fun.
Yeah. We spent some time talking about commercial real estate, what office space will look like perhaps in the future. We're excited to have our next conversation with Allie Kaplan, editor-in-chief of Twin Cities Business Magazine, who really has focused a lot of her career around that work-life balance dynamic. When do we bring work into life? When do we bring life into work? Allie Kaplan, thank you for being with us. We're excited to have a conversation. We know that in 2020, where people work changed significantly. And so what does the year look like for women who are working from home, and how has it disproportionately affected women?
It's a heck of a lot of work, I'll tell you that. I can speak from experience. I mean, I marvel every day, both my husband and I working from home since last March, both professionals, 2 children, doing homeschooling, right now remote learning. And around noon, I get 2 knocks on my office door. What's for lunch, Mom? Why don't you ask Dad? Nobody ever asks Dad. But I think, the numbers actually support exactly my own personal experience, which I can laugh about, and I'm lucky to have a spouse who does help to a degree. But even before the pandemic, women were doing about 1.5 times as much as men in the house as far as housework, childcare, all of that, up to about 3 hours a day on top of work and everything else. Enter the pandemic, 5 hours a day. So you can see the toll that it starts to take on women, and the stress is playing out. McKinsey, in their Women in Workplace study in 2020, found really alarming stat that 1 in 4 women is considering either downshifting her career or stepping away from work entirely, largely because of the pandemic.
Wow. And you've spent a lot of your time, thinking about lifestyle and work and balancing the two. What thoughts do you have around the importance of balancing that from a company perspective?
Sure.
Right?
I mean, I think the thing that we keep hearing from all of our interviewing and even from my own team at Twin Cities Business is we're missing collaboration. That's what I think we're going to do when we come to offices, but I think we have to be much more respectful of people finding their own rhythm and working where they want, when they want. I think mental health becomes a much bigger part of what HR is about. And, and when you think about perks, it's not just days off. It's, what are you doing for wellness? How are you enabling people to, take care of themselves, mind and body?
Yeah, absolutely. Ali, thank you for joining us for this conversation, really highlighting the dynamics of being working at home, particularly for women with children. Such an important conversation, and we appreciate you being with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
As we close out this video about how we work, I want to end where I started, and that's a thank you to the folks who don't have the privilege to choose where they work. The folks who are essential frontline workers that are out there every day working on our behalf. Thank you. I learned a lot as we explored these topics about how we work. A lot of answers were given, and yet we still have a lot more to learn. Stay curious and stay connected. Take care.